Alright, good afternoon everyone. This is your main man Sin, but you know me professionally as Anthony Berg. I'm here with my boy Royal Stomper, but you know him officially as Slater, so say hello, bud.
Hey.
And we are joined here with Rhonda. Say hello. Yeah, that's just how she is. So, unfortunately we couldn't get Byron here for today, but I regret to inform everyone, as you can tell by the title and description, that this is the finale of the podcast. There have been some hardships with the series, and we're ending it on this episode, episode 14, also known as season 2, episode 6. We are sorry for the, what's the word? The, I forget the unfortunate nature of what's happening so far, but I don't know. To give a little bit of background, um, to explain the 2 month gap, at one point, Slade was telling me he doesn't want to do the podcast anymore. I was like, fine, we can't do the podcast anymore. But then he said he doesn't want to do anything on my YouTube channel anymore. I was like, fine, okay. But then I guess you could say he came to his senses or so. So he decided, hey, I'm gonna come back to YouTube channel. You know, he was like, yeah, there was these guys. They inspired me to go back. So I was like, fine, I'll come back. So he did, but not really. We didn't make another video. Well, we tried to make a Left 4 Dead 2 playthrough during that time, but my storage ran out, so that was too bad. But yeah. Then unfortunately at school, um, yeah, I understand, but I'm sure. Uh, Basically, what happened at school was, well, at least that's where me and Slade first met. We had to unfortunately part ways. We we had disagreed with each other about certain beliefs and topics for like a year or so, and we just
Like the battle pass.
yeah, something like that. We just didn't really, I don't know, it didn't really pan out like we wanted it to, and and I'm sad to say that we might not be friends for a while, if any. I've talked to Slade. He's debating, not debating, but he's slightly thinking about it, but it's unlikely that he will return to the friendship of me and him. And as you guys will tell, as you guys can tell, this is going to be one of our shorter episodes, and believe me, I have a good reason, but I don't think I do. I don't understand, because I'm just trying to make sure I don't run out of storage. Yeah, we're 2 minutes in. Yeah, I want to make sure I don't run out of storage like my Left 4 Dead video, but I clear up a bunch of space. I have like 80, like 60 to like 80 to 60 gig left, so that's sweet. I had to delete a couple files, but hey, we got those wiped, so cool. I had to transfer my video files to a flash drive and then had them plugged into another computer where they could be archived. For right now, I don't know. I don't know.
Just like Fortnite.
Yeah, we've had a long time making these podcast episodes. So why don't we not why don't we what do you call it? Why don't we not miss the past but remember it fondly? Let's go on a little bit of retrospective quest. Why don't
Dr.
we?
Seuss.
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss, he wrote multiple famous
Oh
books.
my god. But yeah, let's start off with what episode one. How was episode one? It was simple. I'll say that. Too simple. Slade remembers this episode fondly, but it was basically what do you call it? It was it was our second. It's our first episode that we ever produced, and also it's the second, or at least it's the first ever episode to be unscripted. That would soon be, you know, uh, you know, dethroned by the unscripted experiment, and will now be dethroned by this episode. So there are 3 unscripted episodes out of 14. So that's almost like a fifth. It was simple. You know, Half-Life Sciences freaks it in 4K over gas prices. So yeah, it was a pretty good episode. It was nice to look over, but it seemed a little bit juvenile, if you know what I mean. It seemed a little bit too, a little bit too simple. There was no script, and we didn't know what we were talking about half the time. He had freaking Slade over here talking about Gordon Freeman's, I don't know, his stinky feet or something, and Slade told me to put that in the title. I'm like, no, I can't do that. Those were good times. Then episode 2 came along, and that was when we started using a script. Thanks to my sister Taylor. If you're watching this, hello. I hope you're doing well. Um, but yeah, that was not special. So neither was episode 3, but 4 was our first special, the No More Heroes Iceberg special. But can I say something, Slade?
Yeah.
You probably agree with me, but No More Heroes Iceberg special is the worst episode of the entire series
Yeah.
because most of the time I was talking and it was an iceberg image I was talking about, and Slade barely said a single word.
Well,
It,
I couldn't really say anything 'cause I never played the
no,
game.
he,
The
he
game.
he didn't know much about No More Heroes, so he couldn't really tell much, which was, I don't know, because I just thought of that on the spot. I was like, fine, I'll make that my fourth episode, and yeah, that was weird. Then episode 5 came along. That was, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that episode. It was kind of sad. We talked about a YouTuber's passing, which was unfortunate. Uh, that was that was a hard episode to make. I remember making it on a rainy day, a rainy afternoon. I just woke up, and 2 hours later, I was making an episode of Slade, and I was like, all right, we're talking about this guy, and we'll pay tribute.
Caution.
Then episode 6 came along. I actually don't remember what episode 6. Oh yeah, episode 6 was the premiere of our dear friend Rhonda. She had joined the podcast family in episode 6, and we also had CJ come along, but he isn't here today, unfortunately. But there's good reason. I'm sure he works a lot, so he wouldn't have time for today. Yeah, he was only really there for a few minutes for that episode, but hey, it was a good episode in my eyes. It's probably the best guest episode we ever made, besides episode 9, which I'll touch on later. Episode 7 came along, nothing special, it's a filler episode. Then episode 8. Now Slade can agree, episode 8 was our best episode. You can agree, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you guys don't remember, the super fans, even though you guys should remember, considering the fact that it's the highest rated podcast episode we've ever made, uh, the Mime and Dash special is the greatest episode I've ever made. No cap. I'm not joking. Neither is Slade. We personally agree that it's the best, not only of season 1, but also the best of the entire series because of one thing. It was so structured and it was so good even without a script, which I had to make the fourth unscripted episode. But that's the point. The point is, it's probably the best special we ever made too because it was actually a topic we could both talk about. He had just introduced me to Mime and Dash, and what was the guy's name again that made it? Dirk Pixon, right? He also introduced me to Dirk Pixon. I was like, okay, yeah, and I kind of liked his animations. I still do to this day. But yeah, the episode came along. That was our season 1 finale, and I thought, man, that was a good episode. I still look on it fondly to this day, and to this day, it is still our longest episode ever at 46 minutes. Of course, our longest video ever is 48 minutes, but still stands the longest podcast episode we've ever made. Okay, that's it for season 1. Slade, do you have anything you'd like to say about season 1 at all?
In chapter 6, Arthur Morgan in the side mission that Strauss gives you, it's actually a big implication on his entire life.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. That was a heavy topic in most of our episodes, especially in season 1, where we would talk about Red Dead 2 as well. Yeah, I don't know. Slade loves Red Dead. I think at one point he even tried to get me to buy Red Dead 2, but I was like, I don't have the money. It's $60 and it takes up 100 gigs of space. I don't have
No,
that kind of space.
I was playing it at like 7:28, and then I turned off my Xbox and got on the computer.
Yeah.
I was just playing it.
Yeah, I can tell because every single time I look on your freaking Discord account, every time I go online, it shows Royal Stomper is online. He's on his phone and he's playing Red Dead 2 for 66 hours.
Oh wait, no, that's because I fell asleep with the mic.
You
That's my
you
freaking.
fell asleep?
Yeah, no, yeah. So I was laying down in my bed watching a video about how the strange man is in the game. He isn't. That was clickbait, and I fell asleep and read they were still on.
Oh my goodness.
Well, who's this?
Yeah, I don't know
Oh
anymore.
my gosh, School Trooper! Oh my god.
Rhonda, do you have anything you'd like to say about season 1 at all? Like at least from your standpoint.
Yeah, it
Not
was
really?
nice.
I'm sure it was. Yeah, it was much simpler. But then we move on to season 2. Season 2 is our current season. It's our final one. Let's start off with episode 9. a potato and two furries. It was possible. It was
Look
a
at that title.
yeah. It was a good. It was a good premiere. Uh, and I'll be honest, it's probably our second best guest episode. It's in fact I can't even rank that and this one too high or too low to each other because I feel like they're equals. You know, uh, our silent first guest was very it was our first guest video, and admittedly it was kind of makeshift. It still worked, and Rhonda was still a good guest alongside CJ. She didn't talk too much, but that changed in season 2. We'll get on to that. Episode 9 is still good. I think what we did was we brought on Byron because Slater wanted to be on the episode for the longest time. So I was playing Half-Life 2 one day or one night, and it was talking to me. I was like, fine, fine. We'll have Byron on an episode of the podcast. Next episode, season 2 premiere, we're having Byron on. He's like, sure, bet. And we did. We brought Byron on our first episode of season 2. It was a good episode, but it's weird because I feel like if we would go to a rating standpoint, I feel like we can all agree that episode 9 would be the only episode we ever produced that we rated TVMA. It was just,
Yeah.
yeah, Byron
That's what I
was just
remember.
using such lewd language and profanity, but we could always have him on. We didn't get age restricted or anything, but we could always
Well,
have him
like
on again. But I was gonna have him on today, but he was like, no, I don't want to be a part of it, which I don't blame him.
he's a mentally insane maniac. That's why.
Sometimes what it appears like, but that's just how people are sometimes. And hey, most of the time they're just joking, you know? They're very, very, very funny people. But
Well,
yeah.
he's threatened me multiple times.
Yeah. What else? Okay, episode 10. Which one was that? Nostalgic Memories of Mondo and I forgot the other one is. Whatever. Basically, that episode was the episode where it was actually the episode that came right after Slade had announced to me that he doesn't want to do the podcast anymore originally because he didn't like it. He thought he didn't like the pod. It's not that he didn't like the podcast; that he didn't like being a part of it. You could agree during that time, right, Slade?
Yeah.
Would you mind explaining that just a little bit more?
Okay. I feel like it was mostly just like I just got kind of tired of doing it. I was just like kind of tired of like I'd be like a week or so around. I would have to do that and be stupid for like 40 minutes. I was
Yeah,
kind of getting tired of it.
yeah, and it really forced a personality on him that didn't quite suit him, although it sometimes did. I don't remember
And
too
the
much.
issue is that like when I'm like around you, I try to be funny, and I can't like try to be funny for like 40 minutes, like I don't know. It's hard to be like trying to be funny and think of dumb stuff to say, make you laugh every like couple seconds, right?
Yeah, because I feel like
It's hard to
thanks
do
to
that.
you, the podcast really shaped as a comedy, you know. But in reality, it didn't really have a genre. It was. I feel like when we classify my podcast, at least, and this one,
Hmm.
it's less. We do less about what like what genre it be, and we classify it more or less like what it's about. Like hits and bits is just pretty much about any type of media. That's what the name implies. Hits refers to movies, TV shows, and books and what else? Something something. But bits refers to what do you call it? Uh, Tech and games and all that. It basically was deeper than you'd think. I even explained in the first episode, the season premiere and the series premiere. But yeah, I don't know about that episode. I don't know about episode 10. It was all right. I just don't really see myself ever revisiting it. It was just run of the mill in my opinion. It was all right. Yeah. Episode 11, the unscripted experiment, was a pretty good one actually. Slade could possibly agree. I think
Yeah.
it's probably like our best unscripted episode, I believe, except for actually I don't know. I don't know what could be better. Something else. I don't know. But
Fortnite Let's Play.
yeah, I don't know. Um, it's funny because the entire episode's idea was just to be unscripted. That's the entire point of the episode. That's where the title came from. And sadly, we never did. I had ideas to make like this kind of like a running Joker series, not like running Joker, but kind of like a running thing where like we every season we'd have one unscripted experiment like entry or whatever, where we would just talk about whatever we wanted. Just like the first episode. We were returning to our roots 10 episodes later. I especially remember how for 30 minutes I went on a full rant about how good people aren't like good characters, and of course I was totally mistaken, but it was still funny.
Yeah,
Yes,
'cause I love arguing with people and
yeah,
yelling
me
at
and
them.
Slade really argued about it on that episode. It was, it was a really I don't know.
And it got so bad, you have to watch another video of how it went wrong.
Yeah. Um, I remember also we had talked about Heck of a Boss during that episode, and Slade.
But kick up a boss.
Dude, I
Eat
thought
that.
you liked that series.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No,
Then how?
this episode kind of
Oh,
it didn't do a whole lot, but it did do it. But it did make a dumb Among Us joke, and now I don't like it.
yeah, you sent me that, I think. But yeah, episode 11 was pretty good. Episode 12, I forget which one was episode 12 again. I kind of forgot. Oh yeah, that was when I celebrated the 7th anniversary of my YouTube channel. It was all right. It got pretty sentimental, and me and Slade had a good conversation about stuff like Vanos Gaming and how my YouTube channel is going. I discussed the history of it and where we've come so far. We went from, I went from making Snapchat videos to making freaking like straight up images as videos to making weather radio videos, which weren't too successful, but they were fine. And then we went to OBS videos, and then finally where we are now, or where we are originally, we're at podcasts.
Podcast number episode what episode?
Because it's episode 14.
14 of the Slay Show podcast.
Yeah, that's been a running joke so far. Slade has repeatedly said he wants to do the Slade Durso podcast, but I used to jokingly say, like, you're not doing that, no, no, but it actually doesn't sound like a bad idea. I mean, Slade doesn't really want anything to do with me anymore, so it's like, fine. Let him do his own thing. Because if he doesn't want to be around me, then that's fine. I'm not trying to be, what's the word, passive aggressive. I'm just saying, like I'm not gonna stop you anymore. You really are being. I feel like back
Wow.
then I was really like chaining you up metaphorically. I was like, oh yeah, you can't do this, you can't say this. But I don't know. I don't even know
Like,
anymore.
here's kind of the issue. I don't think I'm really gonna even make a YouTube channel for a while. But I feel like the issue is that since I'm young, I'm only gonna attract younger people around my age.
That is a good point, though. I could probably agree with that, but I don't know. Depending on your voice, people may consider you to be like a teenager, but definitely not like 14 or 13.
Yeah, 'cause like for also need Garrison like set up and figure like how I'm gonna like get all my like stuff set up. I
Yeah.
still need to find something to edit with, and I also need to find a good like. I already have a decent like video like recording thing, but I might have to find a
Yeah.
better one.
But yeah, that was episode 12, I think. Episode 13, our penultimate episode, Return of Rhonda, which featured our lively guest Rhonda back at it again for another episode. And to be honest, it's another pretty good guest episode. In fact, all my guest episodes are amazing in my opinion. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but they're pretty good. Return
Dudes.
of Return of Rhonda was a unique episode. I can't remember the script for that too much. I think we briefly talked about some subject. I remember that was when I came openly, I openly, you know, talked about weed legalization and how it's safe, and then we got in a full, argument about why weed is safe and why it isn't. And like Rhonda and Slay were like, "Oh, what if you're driving? What if you're driving?" Like, no, no, that's not how that works. Like, yes, that's how it works. Which I don't
And
know.
we
I
won
can
the
I
argument.
can agree with that, but there's one problem though. One huge problem. A bunch of stuff can do that
What?
too. Freaking alcohol can do that. So
Yeah, but alcohol's cool.
really, are you sure?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, all right. Yeah, that was episode 13. It was pretty action packed, and it was the last podcast episode we made for a while, and it was the second video we made before we made looking at old slideshows part 2, and that was when we, I was talking to Slade, and he didn't want anything to do with the YouTube channel anymore, so I was like, fine, we'll stop making videos for a while, and it's been 2 months. It's been 2 months so far, and we've only made an episode now, and I'm not gonna lie, this is probably gonna be the last video I make for just a bit. I'm thinking about taking a break. I'm still trying to work some things out with Slade because I'm not gonna lie, our friendship's been a little bit
Mhm.
bumpy. we're not getting along too well, but be honest, he's a good friend, and I would love for him to be my friend. He's a nice guy. He may not tell you that, but he
I'm
is.
not.
Believe me, he thinks of himself harshly,
Don't
and
believe him. Don't believe him.
anything
It's
he
not.
really says that's offensive seems to be more of a joke more than anything. And anything that he says controversially, I don't really have an explanation for that. But still,
Don't listen
man,
to him. I'm an evil villain. Don't listen to him.
I don't know. But
I
yeah,
corrupt little children.
so that's a retrospective. Now here we are at episode 14, which is the season 2 finale and the series finale. But yeah, what does everyone think about season 2 anyway?
Pretty good.
What about you, Slade?
Meh.
Nah,
Yeah,
Nah.
well, we didn't really do that much, really.
yeah, I'm personally think you like season 1 better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot more fun doing season 1. I'll give him that. But yeah, that was retrospective of the podcast as a whole. Um, yeah, it's actually, I don't know. This seems like a really sad episode. It kind of is, but I don't know. It's kind of sad because not only is it our final episode and it's the final appearance you'll see of Slade for a long time, maybe, but um, I hate to open about this, but we filmed this episode on a bad day. This was the birthday of my uncle. He had passed away a couple of years ago, and today was his. How old would he be nowadays? Around 50 something like that.
Yeah, 57.
Yeah, he was a good man, and Slade was one of the first people I opened up about him to. In fact, he's probably one of the only school friends that know about his deceasement. And well, I just hope that the people watching, especially David and Taylor, my brothers. I hope you guys know that, you know, believe me, he was a good man, and to be honest, I feel like nowadays I still get the realization we shouldn't. Like, I understand about deceasements, but when it comes to stuff like friendships, I still realized you can't just stop, like, you can't just keep being sad about the old memories. Why don't you make new ones? I mean, not in terms of, like, deceasement, but like in terms of like friends and losing friends' disagreements or stuff like that. Just find new memories to make. Don't stop. Don't like obsess over the old memories. Why not make more that you can look over in the past and think, man, those were awesome. Yeah, Slade's been through me with that for a while. I remember when my what do you call it? My one of my brother's friends, Cody, he had passed away as well. And the day after, I was sitting at breakfast and I was crying on the table, like I was sitting down and I was tearing up. And Slade came over and he was like, "Yo, what's wrong?" And I explained to him very, very teary-eyed, and I was kind of, stuttering a bit. And this boy he was so respectful during the whole thing. I'm not sure if he'd agree with this, but this is one moment where he was an extremely nice person. He always has been, but this is where his joint, especially his, like, what do you call it? His entire respectfulness came through with this guy just had his hands clasped and he looked down at the table and just. Nowadays he'll say he didn't know what to say, but I think he was
Yeah,
paying.
I actually did not.
Yeah, but I still think he was paying tribute, which is nice. And Cody was a good man from what I heard, and yeah. Consider this episode less of a goodbye, which it kind of is, but more of a message. We've covered some deceasements and we've covered some losses, and I'm telling you, man, like I said, here's a message to all you people watching. Don't obsess over the old memories. Make new ones.
And
It's
play
like,
Fortnite.
it may be that, but maybe Fortnite could bring you memories, actually. I may not be entirely on board with it, but it could work. Find anything that could bring you memories, and, man, just know that.
Hold
Just,
on to him, because he'll
that's-
be gone soon.
no, it's like, just know that,
I like giving
you know,
bad advice.
I don't know what to say anymore. I'm being very honest. This is a completely
Really?
unscripted episode, so I'm just saying stuff off the top of my head, but I don't know. It's been a hard time saying goodbye to a lot of people, whether it be family or a friend like Slade, and
Hey.
And a guy like him and a guy like others has stuck me through tooth and nail, and it's sad to see them lost. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, we've had some good times together, and we've even had good times making this podcast. But it was a heavy heart that I inform everyone watching that this will be our final podcast episode with me and Slade. We may be able to return one day, but it's unlikely. Slade doesn't really like me as a person. He doesn't hate me or anything. He just doesn't want to be my friend anymore. We have disagreed over certain topics, and he just doesn't agree with them. My beliefs have not triggered, but they have definitely offended him in some ways, maybe. And I'd like to apologize for that. Sincerely, Slade, I apologize for everything I've said that has disheartened you.
You haven't really disheartened me ever.
I haven't?
No,
Well, then what have I done?
I don't remember.
Look, all I'm saying is,
Yeah, I'm just insane.
yeah, all I'm saying is, I feel like, I don't know, man. This is a hard episode to make, and I remember telling my people at school, or at least my counselor, shout out to Mr. Venzio, hope you watch this one day, but if you're watching this, I just want to let you know, thank you. And I talked to her heavily about this episode, and she was telling me, like, oh yeah, I hope this doesn't give you false hope, and I'm like, alright, yeah, it won't. But I did inform her, and and it is still true that this episode would be very, very depressing, because it is. Because we have approached topics of losing friends and family, and it's a sad episode. And this is a sort of a goodbye message, a farewell to kings, if you will. Because we were indeed kings in a way, kings and queens. We
Play.
are practically icons, maybe. I mean, I wish we were, but we kind of are. We've achieved some 200, 300 odd views, and we've been successful. And I just want to say to all of you, all the guests who are watching and who are here, thank you. Thank you for your months, and for you, Slade, years of service as companions, and I hope one day you guys can strive to be something even better. I'm trying my best not to tear up, but this is a very hard episode to make because it's hard to explain, how it feels losing a friend, but it's sort of easy at the same time. There's so much that goes into losing a friend. There's so much that goes into losing family. It's very hard. And this episode is dedicated to everyone we've lost. And unfortunately, I believe it's sad that Slade's lost some people too. I was informed a long time ago he's lost a bunch of people, man. And that's sad to hear. I'm sorry. Jesus. I gotta put myself together. Oh God, I'm sorry, Slade. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
I just can't believe it. One day, I was walking with him at PE, and he told me about how he's possibly cursed. I was like, what? What do you mean? He's had so many of his family members die once a year. I wouldn't list them because it just seems very insensitive. But he's lost some important people in his life. But haven't we all? You know? Honestly, and Slade's kind of got it worse, but don't we always have, bad stuff happen to us. It's how life is. But we just gotta learn to get it together. I'm not saying we should forget about anyone. I'm not saying we should be insensitive, but believe me, in my eyes, for every person you lose, there will be maybe even over a dozen people you'll gain. There will always be people there for you, no matter how much you think there's no one. You may think you have no friends, but there's always that one friend that you forgot who will always be there for you. Always. Wish I had a drink with me so I could, bring a toast, but I still have to say cheers to everyone. I for everyone we've lost, for everyone we gained. I say thank you for years of service. Thank you so much. Maybe one day we will meet again. One day.
Anyway, up next is "We'll Meet Again" by whoever made that song.
I couldn't do that song. No, that's copyrighted. I wish I could, but
It was like it's like a radio station.
no. Oh, wait, what? Oh yeah. I think they didn't they play it in Fallout or something?
No, not Fallout.
No, probably not. They play a lot of old songs in Fallout, but definitely not Vera Lynn stuff. God. Now, how long are we in this
Anyway, have you
episode?
heard about Joe Biden?
We're about 30 minutes in the episode. Let's I
Talk about Joe Biden.
honestly, would you want to listen to this at all? Would you want me to like share it with everyone or something?
It's what?
I have a song that I'm playing for the end, and would you want to hear it too?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try sharing it real quick. Share Google Chrome. I have a song planned for everyone. You guys be able to hear this, right? I'm not sure, Slade. You'll be you're always able to hear my streams, right?
Most of the time.
Okay. Let me pause real quick and I'll play that.
Oh, I love ATV.
Here's a song that I like to play, and I've always tried to play finales. This is one that's perfect for it.
What's happening? Okay. So I don't know where he went.
Please,
Yeah, I'm the host though.
would you mind please being silent for this music just for a few more seconds? Oh, to answer your question, Slade, it's not a bad time. Sorry. You probably couldn't hear that, Slade. You most likely didn't, but it's all right. The
Oh, that
people at home
idiot.
heard it, and hey, maybe you'll be able to hear it whenever you watch the end product. But yeah, allow this video to be a farewell. You know, we may not see Slade again in an episode or even a video, but who knows? Things change, things end, things begin. And this episode's for anyone's ever lost. If you've lost a friend, a family, and you've lost a friend or lost them through deceasement or disagreements or anything, please just know someone's always there for you. I hope I didn't make you cry. You guys at home,
No,
but
I'm good.
yeah, I know for sure you guys at home, definitely you and David and Taylor, you definitely cried, but don't worry. I just want you guys to know that stuff makes you human. I hate to sound very cliche, but that's how it works. Yeah, this is a farewell. This has been Sin, professionally known as Anthony Berg, and this has been Royal Stomper, professionally known as Slade Durso, and this has been Ron to say goodbye, bud. Slade,
Huh? Oh yeah, me. Oh yeah, bye.
see you guys later. See you on the flip side. See you around.